Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to address this body on the occasion of my departure from it. I want to begin by thanking my family, my parents. I was not an easy child to raise, who instilled in me their own belief that if you work hard, you will prosper. And I want to thank my wife, Pam, my children, my grandchildren. I think our families suffer most for this self-indulgence that we engage in. And a big thank you to the staff in my office over the last 6 years. 23 interns, all of whom have been wonderful. My legislative assistants, Pat Niemela, Linda Pavarnik, Susan Schmidt, Melissa Weipert, and Cecilia Smith. I could not have had any success here without you. And I also thank the sergeants, the policy staff, the LSB, the clerks, and everybody else in this business that makes it run. They are all wonderful. I want to single out one staff member from the Republican side because I first met him in 1976 when my then division head took me to an administrative law section meeting for the state bar, and that's Bruce Timmons. I know that you have a treasure there, but I'm not sure you really realize how wonderful a lawyer he is. So I want to mention him. I also want to express a profound thanks to the constituency that sent me here. I feel honored to have been elected by the citizens of the 69th District. I love the 69th District. I feel fortunate to live there. The second most educated area in the nation, and according to the last census, the youngest in the state with an average age of 24. Its largest employer is Michigan State University, and its largest taxpayer is the Michigan Education Association. I hope all of my constituents feel I have served their interests well during my tenure here. And I'm probably going to tell you more about myself in this speech than anybody really wants to know, but that I arrived here is still somewhat surprising to me and probably to one of my high school classmates who, upon learning that I graduated from law school, said, "Wow, I thought you'd be pumping gas someplace." I never intended to go to college or be politically active. I began working in tool and die shops at age 14, went to work as a die designer at Chrysler as soon as I graduated from high school. The turmoil of the 60s changed the course that I had set for myself. I became the first of my large and extended family. My father had 10 brothers and sisters, my mother 5, to graduate from college, and pretty near the first to graduate from high school. I had become politically active, having campaigned here and in other states for Gene McCarthy and Bobby Kennedy. Participated in anti-Vietnam War protests and civil rights marches. Lived in a commune, but I still never anticipated I would someday be an elected official. In August of 1975, I was appointed Assistant Attorney General by Attorney General Kelly. I walked through the Capitol that day. That was the very first time I had ever set foot in this building. I have loved working here, in the majority and in the minority. My colleagues have placed a lot of faith in me, and serving as Assistant Speaker and Assistant Democratic Leader has been an honor. I had 7 committees in my first term, and my time as a member, chair, and vice chair of Judiciary, as well as vice chair of Labor and chair of Retiree Health Care Reform, have been challenging and rewarding. I love policy development, and having the responsibility to develop policy for the caucus was also an honor. And I have also very much appreciated 2 speakers appointing me to the Law Revision Commission and the Board of Directors of CSG's Bohe Institute for Legislative Leadership, which I chair. There is no one in this chamber that I dislike. I enjoy working with each and every one of you. And I'm only going to mention a few names because, like Steve mentioned, there's just not enough time to talk about everybody. I am going to make some recommendations, unlike Representative LeBlanc, because I've been around here almost 40 years, so I think I've had a chance to observe quite a few things here. I urge all of you to really get to know all of the people that you work with on both sides of the aisle. It builds trust. It does not mean that you give up your beliefs, but it can help you find a common objective. For example, some members may find it a surprise that Dave Agema and I agree on some things. We both believe that the strength of our republic is directly related to the strength of our families. We may not agree on how we strengthen those families or even how we define those families, but we celebrate what we do agree on. You know, somebody mentioned some favorite memories from 2007 usually, because of course I'm in the 2007 class. And I just thought when they mentioned that, I wanted to mention a couple of things. One is Fulton Sheen, November 17th, 12:30 a.m. We'd been locked in, we'd been sleeping on the floor and in other things. He brings out his guitar and he starts to sing, "Oh, why can't you stay a little bit longer?" It was a great moment. And John Garfield, with a hand-lettered sign around him that said, "Prisoner number 45, day 5." Great memories. The class of 2007 is a little slimmed down from when we came in, but as you all have probably found out, you tend to be closer to the people you came in with on both sides of the aisle. I think that is a testament to experience, and particularly shared experience, something that term limits has mostly destroyed, and the lack of which, I believe anyway, impedes the work of this chamber. So to my 2007 classmates, Dave Agema, Paul Opsummer, Marty Nolenberg, Ken Horn, and Chuck Moss, I have very much enjoyed working with you. I will miss you, and I hope that I have the opportunity to work with you again in the future. To my Democratic classmates, Rick Hamill, Steve Lindbergh, Barb Byram, Joan Bauer, Bob Constant, Chanel Jackson, and proof that this side of the aisle is a very big tent, Rich LeBlanc. I love you all. In 2007, during those long nights wondering what in the hell is going on here, a bond was formed between Hamill, LeBlanc, Ed Clementi, and myself. That's the original Cabin Caucus, as Rich had mentioned, as we endlessly insulted each other and played euchre to kill the time. To Hamill and LeBlanc, I consider myself lucky to have met you. Of course, you were very lucky to meet me, too. To Joan Bauer and our new Ingham County Clerk, Barb Byram, you are the best, and you are great examples for other legislators, passionate about issues and unafraid to speak out against injustice and bad policy. Someday I hope to work with you again on matters that are important to the Capital Region. But before I leave the topic of my colleagues, I want to again note my appreciation for some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. John Walsh and Jim Stamas, I have great respect for you both, and I wish you the very, very best in your future and nothing but success in your careers. I think people need to remember that a lot of the decisions that are made are not made by single people in this chamber, but by groups that get together and make the decisions. And I want to mention Roy Schmidt. I think Roy's still back there. Roy, I miss you, my brother, and let's get together as soon as we're out of this joint. And with your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, I would like to bring this address back to this side of the aisle. I want to mention 3 other representatives. I think Rich has already mentioned them. The first is Mike Simpson. Probably there was no more energetic or fast-talking representative in this chamber. He was totally dedicated to improving the lives of his constituents and promoting the economic development of his district. The second is Bob Jones, former mayor of Kalamazoo and one of the nicest and most talented people I have ever known. And the last was my seatmate, Kate Ebley. The gun-toting conservative Democrat from Monroe, who was an absolutely wonderful legislator and the epitome of the saying, cut the BS, deal the cards. The good Lord took all 3 of them way too early, and I wish they were here. I know that I've gone on a long time, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry about that. And I have to wrap this up. Other members have given advice, and like I said, I want to give a little bit of myself. To the newcomers, I know we have at least one here, Don't get too full of yourself. 6 years is not a long period of time. 10 years after you leave here, few of your constituents will even remember your name. Getting invited to dinner or given some swag does not make you important, except for the moment. False friends are abundant here. Go home as often as possible. Your family will be there for you always. Lobbyists will only be there as long as they need you. Second, in the last 2 years, we have given too much power, in my opinion, to the executive branch. And I urge all of my colleagues to reverse that trend as this body goes forward. A couple of years ago, I asked some members who had been here pre-term limits, what was the biggest difference? They said committee oversight of state agencies. We have subpoena authority and contempt authority. I urge you to use them. Third, move towards true bipartisanship. Have a spirit of compromise. And I'm talking to all of my colleagues here on both sides of the aisle. I know there are basic things that divide us, but remember what Washington said in his own farewell speech. Quote, the alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetrated the most horrid enormities, is in itself a frightful despotism, which leads to the ruins of public liberty. Those were good words then, and they're good to remember today. Fourth, remember why we are here, and this is from Eisenhower's farewell address. Balance between the private and the public economy, balance between the cost and hoped-for advantages, balance between the clearly necessary and the comfortably desirable, balance between our essential requirements as a state and the duties imposed by the state upon the individual, balance between the actions of the moment and the future. Good judgment seeks balance and progress. Lack of it eventually finds imbalance and frustration, unquote. My friends, our legislation, not just in this 2-year period, is out of balance, and it is important for you to restore it. Actually working in a bipartisan manner will help obtain balance. And finally, Mr. Speaker and Madam Speaker, from Lincoln's farewell address to the people of Illinois, and from me to you and my constituents, my friends, no one not in my situation can appreciate my feeling of sadness at this parting. To this place and the kindness of all of you, I owe everything. Trusting in Him who can go with me and remain with you and be everywhere for good, let us confidently hope that all will yet be well. To His care commending you, as I hope in your prayers you will commend me. I bid you an affectionate farewell.